what would be more interesting, how to stand out, which is what everybody is doing. Look, I have an open house, or I'm doing this, is to actually talk about the unique features of the house. Look how cool that swimming pool is, right? Oh my God, the view. Just talk about that. That's all you need to do. Is just, stop trying to sell all the time and provide value. That's how you stand out.
So a couple of these rule changes that Ruslan was just talking about, buyer's agents no longer able to run around saying, it's free, why not use me?
Right.
And that's been a script of a lot of people, right? I'm free, so you should just use me. And I've been saying, well, yeah, I think that's going to change at some point.
Right.
And then we certainly need more clarity around how somebody who's not a member of the MLS is able to get their hands on a lockbox key. I mean, I guess you'll have to be a member of the local association.
I would think.
What's interesting is that in some markets, you have non-realtors who are not members of an association because they're not realtors, right? But they're members of an MLS. Now this rule's saying you don't have to be a member of the MLS. Well, you got to be a member of somewhere,
right?
To get the, we're not going to give out lockbox keys to every American, I hope. So interesting times under this transparency, and this all comes down to there's still some people that feel like there's not enough competition in real estate, and I have to wonder what planet those people are on. Because there's constant commission compression.
Yep.
The idea that you can't negotiate a commission, that it's somehow fixed at 6% or 3 and 3. There's just nothing further from the truth. And our average commission, at least with the company that I lead, is certainly not 6%.
Sure.
So I just anyway.
Well, I want to encourage everyone that we just continue to improve our skills, improve our service, and communicate clearly. I think saying it's free is lazy, right? To say that the seller always pays both commissions, and then, that's not a line item on the buyer's settlement statement. But,
right.
It is for the seller, and when you sell, it will be for you, and that's the way it's been for a long time. It's true.
Well, yeah, yes, and there are agents that do a really, really good job. They take our advice. They have a buyer consult. They sell their value. They get exclusivity, and they even get an agreement that if the commission comes up short from what they want to charge, right, that they're able to charge the difference to the buyer, or if there's a FSBO involved, that the buyer is going to pay that commission if the FSBO elects not to. So It is possible to do this instead of just taking the easy way out.
Yes.
So it sounds like the easy way out is no longer going to be an option, according to what Ruslan said a minute ago. So you and I had I thought was a really good business planning class earlier in the week. We had, I think, well over 40 attendees.
Such good feedback.
Yeah, great feedback. People, are having their greatest year ever. They're following our advice. It was a great business planning exercise, and it certainly. I had some group coaching after that, the next day, and there was a little bit of overwhelm. And,
Sure.
I said, it's fine if you've never done this before. Let's, start with the numbers and work our way, from that. I don't see this, and I was trying to tell them, I don't see this as overwhelm. I see it as opportunity. I see it as opportunities to improve my business and make more money. That doesn't mean that I have to have all this done by January 1st.
Yeah.
So give yourself grace. How do we eat? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Progress, not perfection. You all have heard us say all of these sayings, right, so many times. And I think that it's just, I would turn it around from, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. I have so much to do, to, wow, I have a great opportunity. I've not reached my limit, right? I've not reached the pinnacle of my business. And if I implement these things throughout the year, I'm going to be able to make more money. That to me is the win. And that's how I want to look at this stuff.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, I
Okay,
think
so
people, what we're going to say.
yeah, go ahead. No, I was going to transition to you.
Overwhelmed just because. So I've taught business planning since I taught with you, and it's interesting depending on the phase someone is in their business, how they experience it. And so I taught a class of newbies, and they experienced a lot of overwhelm with the basics. I found that I really had to step back and explain. It was as much training as it was a planning workshop, right? They just didn't really understand certain concepts, and I left them with, please commit to CEO time every single week. It's that, an hour on Sunday or show up an hour earlier for your work day on a Wednesday morning, but you've got to revisit this. You can't shove it in a drawer. And I said, you've got to edit it and make it actionable, make it true, make it better, make it something you want, or take action on what you have, but don't ignore it. So that seemed to help them because they just were left feeling like, I don't know where to begin. And I said, when you sit down to your CEO time in a week and you think, Amy's nuts, this isn't working, even read it out loud to yourself and you'll start to remember, because it's just too foreign. So for those who aren't consistent at doing business planning or following their business plan, I want to encourage you to set aside that time to start making it a more familiar thing.
So yeah, so why don't we talk a little bit about CEO time and what that looks like, and how best to complete the plan if they can't attend the class, they've gotten our packet, right? If they've attended the class, they did a little bit in the class, they took a lot of notes, they want to finish it. What is a good next step for them as they eat the elephant, if you will?
Wow. So again, it probably depends on the phase that they're in, but because so many people experience either confusion or overwhelm or don't get into action, I would say read the plan and try to make sure that you understand it, right? Or, try explaining it to another person. I plan to make 300, say it in simple language. I plan to make 300,000 gross commission income at my average commission of $10,000. That's 30 transactions next year. I expect my transactions to come from these 3 sources, and here are the marketing plans that I've developed to make it true, to be able to predict it. Charlie, one of the biggest things I had challenges with the newbies was they wanted to choose things that weren't in their control as their major sources of business, like waiting for the phone to ring at the office. And I said, okay, do that. It's an activity. Do wait for the phone to ring at the office while you're working on something else that you have control over. And I started saying, it's do you have control over the faucet? So with business planning, you have to choose, and I call them pillars. They're the marketing initiatives that hold up your business. So choose 3 or 4 marketing pillars that you will be able to take action on. And don't be the one who said, well, I waited for the phone to ring and it just didn't. That's not having control of your business. So that's what I would say. Read through it, make sure it makes sense to you, make sure you can explain it to someone else, workshop with other people. Gosh, get into the mastermind at Remax Allegiance, right? Get the support that you need. Don't be defeated. One day at a time, you will learn this and you will get better.
Awesome. Good. So before we get to our next guest, talk to me a little bit about the accountability piece. So you do group coaching, I do group coaching. What if you're the agent that's out there that you need to finish the plan, maybe finish the plan. Maybe you did most of it during the business planning session, right? But the next step is somebody holding you accountable, right? There needs to be the next step of the commitment to the cadence of accountability, the commitment to reviewing that plan at least quarterly, right?
Yes, absolutely. So I guess you have to find somebody with a reasonably similar commitment to yours. I think sometimes when we find an accountability buddy, it breaks down because that other person may or may not be as committed to you as you, or maybe you're the weak link. So I think when you commit to another person that you're going to hold each other accountable, you've got to commit to a time, you've got to show up to that time. It could be a Zoom call, it could be 15 minutes a week. Look in your brokerage, find somebody who also wants to get better.
I like it. Good. Always good to see you, Coach Amy. Have a great Thanksgiving, and we will talk to you soon. Take care.
Bye, everybody.
I'd like to welcome the next guest to the show, Antoine Dupont, who is going to be joining us in a couple weeks for an hour-long session, but we wanted to introduce him to the group, and he can give us a little bit of a preview of what's to come. So good morning, Antoine.
Good morning, Charlie, and thank you so much for your patience. The backup plan when the power and the internet goes out is well, I don't know. So I'm in South Florida. I'm in West Palm
Okay.
Beach. So obviously we have the end of the hurricanes that are passing through, and we just lost power. So my apologies, and thank you for your patience.
Yeah, no worries. So let's get right to it.
Mm-hmm.
You're, a marketing expert. You
Yeah.
actually started your career working for Gordon Ramsay. I have to ask about that because I'm sure everybody
Yes.
asks about that. So share with us about that.
Yeah, I was 20 years old, and I went to hospitality and culinary school in Paris, France. I'm originally from France,
Okay.
and I got a job in I actually went to London because I wanted to learn English, because English in the hospitality world is very useful, because you pretty much can get a job anywhere in the world. So I went to London, got a job at a restaurant called Le Gavroche.
Okay.
Which is French for je ne sais quoi, and it was a 3-star restaurant, and there was this stall, lengthy English chef, which was really odd for us as a French restaurant that was there, and it was Gordon Ramsay. Ironically, Gordon was not famous at all, and neither was I, by the way. He was just a chef, and the experience of working with Gordon is exactly what you see on television. He's rude and to the point, but he's not any different than any other chef. And actually, I've known chefs that were a lot meaner than him. So that was the experience, and I worked for a year there, and it was an extraordinary experience to work at that level of culinary world, where people will spend on an average of $500 to $700 a plate, right? So if you and your wife go, you're at least putting a grand on the table, no question. But it's only like 15 years later. I was then in the United States, and this guy kept on coming up, and I was looking at him, I'm like, where do I know this guy from? Like, it was because the 15 years has gone by, right? And I'm like, that was the chef from Le Gavroche. So that's my story of Gordon Ramsay. He was, that was that.
How interesting. So how did you go from that to becoming a marketing guru?
It's a great question. My kids were born, and working 16 hours a day was no longer an option. I remember telling my wife, actually, I went from culinary to hospitality to event management. So I was managing massive events, lots of them in Las Vegas, and my daughter was just born, and I was it's kind of like tired of it, like working 16 hours a day. And at the time, I'm talking about 1999 here, I'm dating myself a little bit, we had this revolutionary thing that was brand new, which was called online registration. I'm not kidding, because now you're taking this for granted, but online registration was brand new, and I had built a website which was also revolutionary for an event, and other people started to ask me about it, and I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, I could do that, and that's actually how I shifted my business to become developing online registration tool and website, and then obviously now marketing those events and all this. And this is pretty much in 2001. This is when I decided, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing right now. And that's how I got into, that's how you go from culinary to hospitality to marketing. It makes complete sense, doesn't it?
Of course, yeah. Just blame the kids. So
that's right.
What's the best way to get people's attention?
Actually solving their problem. And I think that the vast majority of people are trying to say, pay attention to me, pay attention to me. And, look at me, aren't I great? And a lot of bragging. There's a matter of fact, I'm actually in the process of writing a script on how to design a landing page. And it's the exact same thing. You have to talk to people. You have to resolve the problems. So, in the real estate world, people have a lot of issues and concerns relating to either selling or buying their house. If you position yourself as resolving those problems, you will get their attention. And then over time, you will develop trust. And once you have their attention and their trust, the next step is self-evident. They'll become a customer of yours. So, don't add to the noise by, waving your flag, pay attention to me, but simply resolve the problem. And that would be step number one. When I do a presentation, actually, I tell people, if I came in your town and I got myself a real estate license, that would be my first immediate move. I would find out what are all the problems related to buying and selling a house here, and I would create content that resolves that problem for them. And that's how I would get their attention.
So my next question is something that Coach Amy, who was the guest before you, and I talk about all the time, and that is, why is the customer experience so important? Why don't you tell us your opinion on that?
Well, the customer experience is what they'll remember. If you think about it, let's just say, I was actually thinking of this analogy. You can rent a beautiful condo somewhere on vacation with your family, all luxurious and marble floors and marble counters and top of the line appliances, and everything is beautiful. But the thing that you'll remember 2 to 3 years down the road will be the experience that you had with your families and your kids. That's what will stick.
So true.
The fact that the floor was marble, the fact that the appliances were top of the line, none of this will matter. So the experience is really what people remember. This is what connects us. And we together, if we were to chat about anything, we could talk about some details and maybe how the thing was, but mostly what our conversation is going to revolve around is our experience of something. Right. So this is what we talk. I mean, and people talk about the experience. There's no conversation in the middle. The conversations are always extreme. It's always the really bad or the really good. Right. We just don't talk about, I just got in a plane and it was just okay. The plane took off and it landed appropriately and my suitcase was there and I got in a cab and I came home. That's not what we talk about. We talked about, oh my God, I was so, my suitcase was the first one, or I couldn't believe there was a taxi that was just right there waiting for me.
Right.
And, we just talk about the things that's fun. Or we got stuck on the tarmac for an hour and a half. Right. So it's the extreme. So what we have to do in order to stand out, and bring it back to us as real estate agent, is think in terms of how do we transform an experience that could be just mundane, as in the closing, when people are closing, what could we do to alter that experience so it becomes memorable? And people were like, wow, that was different. And it doesn't have to be extraordinary and you don't have to spend a fortune, but it has to be unique. It has to be like people are, I mean, think about it like DoubleTree Hotel. It's a very simple experience. But when you arrive in a DoubleTree Hotel, immediately the lady will turn around, open a little oven, and give you a warm chocolate chip cookie. Right. That's an experience. That's very simple, and it's unexpected. You didn't expect a hotel to do that, and it's everyone gets that experience, and it's delicious, right? But it's just a little thing, and there's actually people that will only go to a DoubleTree Hotel because of the warm cookie. Right. So it's the same thing for us. This is why the experience is so unique, because it's really a way to hook people and having a way for people to remember you differently from everybody else.
Awesome. So unique experiences create raving fans. Pivoting a little bit, how do I stand out with all the noise? Everybody has a promo. Everybody has a deal.
Right.
What can I do to be unique?
Well, but first of all, stop promoting your open house. Okay. Nobody cares. I mean, I'm just telling you. I mean, it's people are promoting an open house like it's like interesting. Unless I'm specifically looking to buy a house, I couldn't care less.
Okay.
Right. I mean, it's just like that's the brutal reality of it. But it's just like we don't care. What would be more interesting, how to stand out, which is what everybody is doing. Look, I have an open house, or I'm doing this, is to actually talk about the unique features of the house. Look how cool that swimming pool is, right? Oh my God, the view. Just talk about that. That's all you need to do. Is just, stop trying to sell all the time and provide value. That's how you stand out. Everybody is trying to sell something. So
sure,
if you want to stand out, then stop doing that and then provide, I've seen few people that do that very effectively when they do an open house. They actually will talk about a house and they'll have their phone right?
Mhm.
And then they'll video them walking around the house, and then you're looking. I said, "Oh, that's interesting. Oh, what was there? Oh, check out the bathroom." Right? It's just
Right.
something interesting, as opposed to telling me, "Hey, I have an open house." Come, because the vast majority of people are not interested. But it's kind of fun to being able to see a house from the inside. And yeah, of course, I know that you're probably are selling that house, but the fact that you're not trying to invite me to do something that I probably don't care about.
Mhm.
This is how you stand out. Stop always be selling and then provide value.
Okay,
That's
cool.
what I would do. Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about social media. Tried a bunch of stuff, not getting lots of results. What are most people in that boat doing wrong?
There are first of all, they're not targeting the right audience.
Okay.
And again, I mean, we're going full circle on that. They're not providing value. They're not resolving a problem. And I think that if you want to think in terms of marketing, I would ask myself for every single piece of marketing that I'm doing is, what problem am I solving for them? Whether it's about finance, whether it's about the closing,
Mhm.
whether it's about the inspection you're going to have to do on a house, whether it's about how to deal when you have a bidding war, and how to position yourself in the bidding war as a buyer, how to position
Mhm.
yourself in the bidding one as a seller, and all these elements that people are wondering about and they have questions about. That's how I would, that's what I would approach my social media. I think that I'm sensing there's something happening in social media. I'm just sensing that people have less and less interest. I'm feeling like people are a little bit disconnected. And I think what's going to happen is we had this big rush of everybody going in social media and throwing mud at the wall and hoping it's going to stick. And everybody has an Instagram account, and everybody has a Facebook account, and
Mhm.
everybody has a Twitter and a this and a that. Now they're going into TikTok, and overall they suck at all of it. And pardon my
Right.
French, but I mean that in the best of ways. So what I would say for people is, instead of being average in all of them, pick one and be the best at it. Like, if you're going to take Instagram because you think that Instagram is where your audience
Mhm.
is, then just go all in. You don't need to be on Twitter. You don't need to be on Facebook. You don't. You really don't. Particularly because it's like, I don't know about you in your area, but in Florida here, we're limited to 24 hours a day. That's all we're given by the Florida
Right.
government, right?
Yes. Yes.
So that's our limit. So I only have so many hours in a day and taking care of my family, and taking the kids to soccer practice, and
Mhm.
going to a closing and showing up.
Sure.
I mean, it's all the stuff. We're very busy, and on top of that, I have to be active on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and TikTok, and all this stuff. It's completely overwhelming. So I would just say, bring it down and just find out which platform is best suited for you and for audience, and go all in. And if it's YouTube, then go all in on YouTube. But
Right.
you're not going to have the bandwidth to be in all those platforms effectively. So that would be my advice. It's like, you don't need all these buttons. You don't need to be active in all of them. Pick the right one, and you can be super effective with just one.
I like it. Focus will take you everywhere. It's like
It doesn't it,
say
like
that
every
often.
time,
Yeah.
right? Every
Yep.
time it's the same thing, but it's the reality. And we went to that. It was not long ago where it was just crazy, right? We were just expecting you have to create content and post every day, and it's like, it's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
people are completely overwhelmed and frustrated because a lot of it is not working. And it's because I think it's because for the vast majority of people, they're completely diluted in their efforts as opposed to being laser focused.
Got it. Okay, awesome. So coming up on December 2nd at 10 a.m. Eastern time, we're going to have you for an hour. I'm looking forward
Yeah.
to that. And the topic is content marketing and how to stand out. So appreciate you being on the show today. Look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. Have a great Thanksgiving and stay safe.
Yeah, same to you. And thank you for your patience. And I look forward to speaking to all of you on December 2nd. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Take care.